Hello everyone, I'm coming to you today to do just a quick demonstration on how I do my paper bag albums, my mini paper bag albums. And what I do a lot of times when I come up with these things, I didn't come up with the original idea, but I watch a lot of different tutorials on YouTube and then I come up with my own. Most of the time I add to it or take away from it or do both. So this is just a regular lunch bag that I got from my dollar store. I think I got 50 in a pack for $1. So the first thing that I do is I take a bag, and this is the foot with the extra flap that is already pretty much creased and folded that way. So I just take it and I fold it over, and I take my bone folder and I pretty much crease it down really good. And you want to make sure that you do it even as possible. So once I do that, I take two of them, and because this will be the inside flap of my album, I'll take my ATG gun and I'll run glue all in here. Some people use red tape. That's fine, because when I close it, I'm not going to make a pocket on this side, and when I go to cover it, I'll put a piece of cardstock pattern paper and cover the whole thing. Now some people like to cut off the edges because you know it has the little ridges, and one part of the bag has the notch right here. And then I've also seen people take a circle punch and put it in halfway and even make the notch a little more cleaner. Me myself, I just like to leave them clean. I like to leave it the way it is, depending on the album that I'm making. So I think this measures out to be 7 and a half. If you leave it 7 and a half, so you can cut off that half to make it an even 7. But the choice is yours. So after I get all my bags folded, what I like to do on the ones that I'm going to make a pocket, so say for instance, where's that other album? I did this one for my salon, and on the inside, this is where I was talking about where I left it flat, but then on this side I made a pocket so Dawn's pretty picture can just slide out. So if you're going to make a pocket, of course, on your next bag that you have folded over, you're only going to glue the sides. You're only going to put glue on the sides, so when you glue it down, it'll leave space for the pocket. But on this particular album, what I'm going to do is have it glued down on this side, but I'm going to leave my flap on all of my ones on the inside, so that way when I put it together and I open my book, I'll have just a little spot here to decorate and put little sayings or embellishments, and also on this side. And then when I go in to the next page, the next bag will be put together again with the flap and close it over. So to get my binding without having to use a binding machine, we're going to assume that this is my cover. What I do is I take some good heavy cardstock, and I don't know why I didn't write my measurements down, but this measures out to about 1.5 by 5. And the 5 will be just shy of the width of the bag, but I wanted that because I didn't want it to be too bulky on the ends. So what I do is take this piece of cardstock and I score it down the middle and fold it. And then I take my ATG gun or the red tape, whichever one you want to do, and I do 1/2 at a time because it's much easier to do it that way and get everything done properly. But I take this part of the bag and I glue it down to this side of the flap, and I take my next bag and glue it down on this side. So what will end up happening is 2 bags becomes the pages like that, so they're bound together like that. So I did what, 4 of these together, which I did 8 bags total to make the 4 together. Now here's where it got a little interesting. So here's my bags. As you can see, this one is glued down, like I said, with a flap, and you can see the cardstock in there. Same thing, and you'll see why that stuck a little bit. I'll show you that in a second. So when you go through, this is what your book will look like if you want to have the extra flap, and it's all bound together. But what I like to do as some extra binding is I take a couple of clamps and I put it on the bags on either end like this, and I take my good old Elmer's cement glue, the rubber cement, and I put a fairly decent amount. And what's going to happen, and I stand my bag up so it seeps down in there, and it forms a bond on the edge of the bag, as well as the book, I should say, as the album, as well as the part where I say you will see on the inside where it doesn't stick too well, but I like that it's there because then I know it got all in the cracks, and this bag is pretty bound together, this book. And then as an added extra, I cut a piece at 5 by, is it 4? No, 5 by 3 of that same heavy cardstock. And now what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to clamp it again, and I'm going to take this big piece and I'm going to place it on here in the middle, and then I'm going to clamp this down to give my album some extra, you know, a stronger, even more binding without having to use a machine, because I'm quite sure the person that I give this to is going to, you know, want to show it off and flip through it, so you don't want things to come apart. So, but this is just my basic way of doing a paper bag mini. I'm going to get this all decorated and embellished and everything for her 14th anniversary, and I might do a video on that, or I just might take a picture of it. So, and of course, you know, with the paper bag mini albums, you have the option of sealing these or using these for extra photos inside the paper bags, which I probably will stick some photos or trinkets or something in there. Okay, thanks for watching.